Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on? Hopefully you guys had an amazing weekend. Today we had an amazing weekend, and today the big winners, Ripple and XRP, coming out the big winners. Man, it's amazing as we see all these different things unfold while the SEC, FTX, SBF, FSC, and we can go on and on and on with all those three-letter agencies and committees and whatnot, and companies and individuals. Man, but they're all putting crypto at risk. Not this community.
Not at
Ready to
all.
kick this thing off?
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Guys, drop where you're from, city, country, and even if you're on the rewatch, go ahead and drop it. We read all comments in there. Like, subscribe, click that notification bell. That way you know when we go live, which is 3 times a week. Let's say 3 days, 3 times, same thing. Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday. But this Wednesday, I don't think we're gonna be streaming. We have a holiday in the US. I think we're gonna be taking Wednesday off and hanging out with the families. So
maybe.
Yeah, there's always a possibility, but I don't know. It doesn't seem likely at this point. Maybe we'll see.
Give a shout out where you guys are tuning in from, because we know that we've got Twin Force coming in from Ottawa, Canada. Byron Bay, Australia, and we got Justin from Manhattan, Kansas.
And honestly, every time I see that, Justin, I'm like, is there really a Manhattan, Kansas? Like, I always go like, are you messing with me? And I never look it up, but I'm always like, is Justin punking us here, man? Is he like saying like it really exists, but we're like, maybe it doesn't exist? Jeff, look at that up. I always think about that.
I'm like, to hear us say it. He's like,
Manhattan, Kansas.
See if
for real?
Manhattan, Kansas.
It's like, man, look at K-Hud early right there. Look at K-Hud jumping up. Vero Beach. Thank you, K-Hud.
Vero Beach. Man, we got Detroit in the house. Hello from the D. What is up?
Big D in the house. Big D in the house. Yeah, my Bills played in the D today. My Buffalo Bills played. Horrible start. Won. Playing on Thanksgiving, Jeff. It's going to be a good game. Fun to watch.
Now we got XRP from Michigan. So we'll start posting where you guys are tuning in from as we go. But Chip, we got a ton of things to cover.
We do. We got to jump into it, Jeff.
Let's jump. What do you want to start with? I know we got a whole bunch of cool videos to go through. We got some controversy with BitBoy and Kevin O'Leary, and we got a lot of interesting discourse. That's
got a long way to go.
Over time. Long
way to get there.
That's right. But it's a lot of this is going to revolve around the FTX collapse, because there are a lot of power players somehow intertwined into this whole FTX thing, man. And Ripple is coming out on the positive side. What was that, Chip? One of the articles was with Outerfly, or I don't know. There was someone was trying to file an amicus, and they.
We'll get it. Yeah, we'll jump into that.
And there's all sorts of cool things.
Yeah, we'll jump into that. Let's hit this one here, because this one really kind of caught my attention here. This one here is Sam Bankman-Fried called Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, just days before FTX's collapse. Here was his response. And it's like, you're like, huh? Yeah, huh? This is funny, the pictures they pick up there. And so Brad Garlinghouse received an unexpected call from a now disgraced founder of FTX, Sam Bankman. Bankman should have tipped people off right there.
Bankman. The
Bankman. Is it fried or fried? Maybe it's fried. It might be fried at this point.
He was definitely fried.
That hair is fried, Jeff. And then just days before they filed for Chapter 11, it's like, hello, Mr. Garlinghouse, What's up, Jim D?
Jim D, big supporter here on the chain. What is going on?
So Garlinghouse told the Sunday Times that Sam Bankman-Fried called him up and asked if Ripple would be interested in buying some of FTX's assets. Can you imagine that? Like, just days before, it's like, hey man, do you want to buy some of our assets? It's like, dude, do they have any assets? I mean,
what kind of assets do they have that you can buy?
They're not liquid assets. We know that. And so in response to Sam Bankman-Fried's question, just call him SBF, Garlinghouse stated that, well, part of my conversation was he needs liquidity. Maybe there are businesses that he bought, or he has that would want to own. Would we have bought some of those from him? I definitely think that was on the table. Garlinghouse would later tell the Sunday Times it would be a harder path to buy FTX's assets now, due to the defunct cryptocurrency company filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And let's see what else we have here. Cointelegraph shared these details. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse reportedly interested in buying certain parts of the collapsed crypto exchange FTX. And on the sidelines of Ripple's Swell conference in London, which happened this past week, Garlinghouse told the Sunday Times that former called him 2 days before the company. It's like, what are you going to do 2 days before the collapse, Jeff? And if he's already making phone calls, don't you think he knows that a collapse is evident?
Well, obviously he knew that they were getting very, very close to that collapse point, probably way before that, considering that there were a lot of shenanigans going on over at that company. Fraud is a really good way of highlighting it. Yeah,
Fraud says it.
Shenanigans,
Shenanigans or this right there,
or
fraud.
Yeah, one or the other.
This one sounds like fun, one sounds not so fun, right?
Right. Fraud doesn't sound as fun.
No. Shenanigans is like, yeah, not gonna. It's like Three Stooges, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
see?
that's, yeah, see? Yeah. 10-pound gavel falls in your head, see?
See?
Yeah, walk into a bar, see? That's what happens, see? Jeez. So it says Garlinghouse admits now that FTX has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the U.S. A potential transaction for FTX business would be very difficult, different than the one. Who wrote this freaking article? Very different than it would have been 1-to-1. Of course it was. And then Brad said they're interested in buying FTX assets, and part of this is
interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it could be really interesting to see what kind of things come out of it. One thing that's for certain is that FTX seemed to be always on the buying end of failing entities. There's some little discourse that we're going to get into over their potential involvement along with the O'Leary with Celcius. So there's some.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into that, Jeff. This is like lighting. This is like lighting a stick of dynamite and throwing it into a bunch of sticks of dynamite. This is going to blow up big time. And you know what?
Yeah, I can't see where
anything good comes out of that, but it's going to be fun to watch. It's like watching a dumpster fire. Nobody rushes to put it out, but you kind of just watch it as it burns, especially if it's rolling down the highway or floating down the highway, whatever. So
that's it. El Jefe is saying here, I don't think Chapter 11 will happen. Seems more like Chapter 7. There's zero to restructure. And we have to get into this when we talk a little bit more about Celcius. The difference between Celcius and what's happening with FTX, Celcius, there's something to salvage, and they're doing everything they can to go through the process. FTX seemed like there was nothing. There was no structure to begin with. It came out of nowhere, built up into this mega entity that was brought into Congress to help draft legislation and donate tens and tens of millions of dollars to the Democrat Party, and then they're gone. It was just like, that's it. Poof.
Wait a minute. I'm sounding like a mafia don. What the hell's going on over here? Is it my voice?
Yeah, see?
Yeah, what it is, see? You know what I'm talking about, see? Yeah. Bunch of mafiosos over here, see? Yeah. Pork chops and applesauce, see? Mafioso. So look at this right here, Jeff. So let's transition back to the SEC v. Ripple case. And as we look at that, let's take a look at this.
SBF, a rare human, a fat vegan. Yeah, there aren't many of those. I think there's maybe one.
Maybe. I know of one other one. So there you go. Okay, so it happens. It's possible. It does happen. Okay, so look at this. So Jimmy Filan put this out. He said, here's a list of the Amicus briefs filed by the November 18th deadline. And of course, he gave credit to Cherry Empress 21. So here they are. All those. So, Chamber of Digital Commerce, iRemit, TapJets, ICANN, Spend the Bits, Coinbase, Blockchain Association, Paradigm Ops, John Deaton on behalf of 75,000 XRP holders, Veridao, Reaper Financial, CCI, Cryptillion, NSEI, that's the one for, I believe that was one for the only one for the SEC. Then you have Valhalla Capital, Jimmy over there at Valhalla Capital. So and then
how many? What was the count on that?
The count on that was okay. So I don't know what the count. Oh, here it is, right here. So
14.
So 14. So Accredify. Now, Jeremy Hogan chimed in and said Accredify failed to file its amicus brief on behalf of the SEC by the deadline. So that leaves the final tally at 14 for Ripple, and then one for the SEC. Now, funny thing was, Jeff, you remember there were weren't there like one or two other ones?
Yeah, so there were supposed to be three in total. but apparently only one actually filed. They
But nobody
filed
still
fake,
cares.
and nobody cares. And the other one, the one that did manage to file, I forget whatever they are, something,
I
whatever.
think it's this
They
one.
had-
I think it's
and they had
NSEI.
nothing. Oh, that was it. NSEI, yeah. And they had zero to do in the crypto space, so it's all opinion. So they're coming in to provide their opinion.
Sounds like they got a Wells notice, Jeff. It's like we got a Wells notice. We
in.
thought we
Come on in.
we'd
And
say like, hey, how can we get some good faith? Come on in and talk to us. And a Wells notice is that advance notice that you're getting sued by the SEC. It's just like, hey, it's like a little tip off. They probably received a Wells notice, and it's, hey, it's Gary. He's like lighting a cigar. And he's like, hey, see,
yeah,
got your Wells notice, see. So he sends him over a Wells notice.
out there.
Yeah, see.
See?
So he gives them a Wells notice. And they're like, how can we get in the good favor and good graces of Gary G, Daddy Gensler over there? Oh, I know. We'll just go randomly into a case that has nothing to do with what we do, not even the same verticals we're in. Well, let's see if it can help, maybe, And it's like, you're not winning any favors with anybody else, but you know what I mean? Who knows, Jeff? So he also said for you Americans, Ripple scored 2 touchdowns and the SEC got a 1-point safety. First of all, it's a 2-point. Isn't it a 2-point safety? I don't know, have to check the rules on that. Anyway, the bottom line is if you get tackled in the end zone, it's a safety, and the other team gets the points. But so what about everybody else? So,
hey, read that one, Chip.
Hey there, copper! Don't you scare me, Nancy. You see, I speak that language, Jeff. That was the guys. Remember, that's how they used to talk in Bugs Bunny. Yeah, there's a copper, see? And in those old 1940s movies, they talk like that.
That was the best.
Of course, the best episode ever, the Brady Bunch, where Bobby Brady thought he was one of those guys and kept saying, yeah, pork chops and applesauce, see? So as we
said, Accredify was the one guy complaining about FTX. So became to say XRP should be a security just for the sake of regulation being pushed.
Yeah. So Jeremy,
I struggle with this. How do you pronounce this? I can't. Is it Amiki? Is it a? It's because it's Amicus. And so how do you pronounce?
Amicus is one brief, and Amiki is multiple. Amiki. I believe.
I can't.
Jeff, I'm not an attorney. I just give my opinion on a show. We're just two guys. We're just two guys in the in the what do you call that? Just hanging out, Statler and Waldorf, watching the Muppet Show. I mean, we're just sitting here watching how this stuff goes down here.
What happened? Arvin has some questions. We'll cover that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
A rise of pricing of XRP.
So Hogan said, the guy admitted he didn't know what he was doing, but it still must have taken him a couple hours to draft, and then he doesn't file it. So it's like it's not gonna hurt really. But the truth, XRP said, Mr. Hogan, can you help me explain why the 1958 interpretation memo from the SEC stating stamps, tickets, and tokens are not securities under Congress's securities statute don't seem to apply to digital tokens. Also, no evidence of indebtedness. And that looks like it came from 1958 right there. I got to be honest. I'm not going to lie.
It's straight out of 1958.
Look at that right there. See?
Anymore? That was definitely a 1950. What is that?
Title 17, Chapter 2. Statement of the... was that on a newspaper clipping? My God, what the hell, man? What the hell's going on here?
From 1934.
Do we have any... So then somebody said, well, okay, great. We'll explain it in English football translation. So Jeremy Hogan said, Ripple scored 2 goals. The SEC won the coin toss. There you go, right?
There you go.
That pretty much is it. So nothing. So Zippo, Zilch, and nada is what they get. Kind of doesn't matter if the contest is rigged, what the score is, or what the order to be turned over really, since obviously that meant nothing, said Slim Bobbins. Slimmy Bobbins.
Amicus curiae, from Latin, friend of the courts.
There you go.
So that's the amicus if it's spelled Amicus. But then when you get into the Amici, we got Amici.
Amici. What's that? It wasn't Amici, wasn't he? He was a DJ, wasn't he? Passed away a couple of years. Amici or something like that. I don't know.
Sanskrit
And
tablet
then,
pics.
and
That's
then our
what that.
pal Antonio Brace, who we've had on, he's the CEO and founder of Blockquake, US-based exchange. He said, yeah, I hope Ripple's also making the case XRP is essentially oil, and they're essentially OPEC making XRP a commodity that exists just so they have a monopoly on it versus it being a security. There you go. You guys want to see that interview? You guys can pull that up too. Antonio Brace, we had him on the chain as well. I need to chat with him from time to time. He's a good guy, man. Good guy. I like Blockquake a lot. So let's go. What else we got here? It's so funny how everybody. It's so funny how everybody blew that out of control. They're going to consider deals for the asset. No, it just was kind of like, hey, you got a phone call. It's not happening. But who knows? I mean, anything can be settled in bankruptcy. You make a bid for it, and you know how that works, Jeff.
Now look at this one, Chip. Izzy is saying, and I haven't looked a lot into this one here, but saying I noticed a lot of FUD and fear mongering today in regards to Ledger Live and their hardware wallets. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that particular FUD is, but I don't know.
I think it's all part of the narrative of what the mainstream and the current government, their objectives seem to be undermining the crypto space. Now they came out pretty strong with some strong words saying they want full regulation. They don't say regulatory clarity. Now they're talking about, and it's the zealousness of over-regulation, which is something that Gary's been all about. So he's got his fingerprints all over this one, but it's
awesome.
So when you undermine Don Amici, he was an actor.
He was a good actor. He was a good actor. Alchemist is quick with these, isn't he? He's always on top of this. Jim D says, the problem we'll face with both crypto and conventional Ponzi fiat is that we get into liquidity crises as a few wealthy win the economic trades and then suck it off the markets. Yeah. Isn't that what Jim Cramer does? Pumps it on the way up, on the way down as it's just turning the corner.
Pumps it, and dumps
it, and all the bankruptcies.
But there were a lot of notification of bankruptcies that are going to come out. Any companies that were somehow intertwined with FTX or somehow involved with FTX. So some real concerns in this space, and so this is one of the points. Again, I think that if we look at what Gary Gensler's objective, or maybe the full objective of FTX. I would love to see if we can somehow uncover this with FTX. So, twofold, as we brought up. One was to put crypto into a negative light and disrupt it negatively. And the other part was to bring in and siphon millions, tens of millions of dollars and send them over to certain political candidates. I'm not going to say one political party over the other, because we know that that's, that the majority, 94% or 92% went to one political party. But that means that others, there's still some political.
But the other political party, it went to candidates that wanted Orange Man to lose, the ones that were against Orange Man. So it's kind of the same thing. I mean, it's kind of like it's the same thought in the end. But here's the thing, Jeff. There are a lot of startups that FTX basically invested in, right? So there's a whole bunch of them where they get $300 million in a round, or they're part of a $500 million round. And so what I say is well, if you're that startup and that goes bust, somebody could potentially buy that paper, potentially, or what happens to it? They're like, oh God, thanks, we don't have to pay that back. But at some point, that's going to be up in the bankruptcy on the asset sale. So another VC could come in and pick up that paper at a discount. So let's suppose, whatever the valuation was at the time that they actually went in on it, they might be able to get 50% off, or maybe 75% off. So that's going to be interesting to see how that pans out too. Right. And that might be somewhere where I could see Ripple kind of coming in and kind of taking a piece of that, or part of that investment. That might be interesting.
Man, a lot of good stuff in here. DeWalt, I'm sure YouTube is stealing your subs. One of the best shows, and subs aren't going up fast enough. Man,
we lost 21. We just lost 21. We get a rolling total of what happens on a 30-day, and over 30 days, because usually we'll sit at trend up a couple hundred, it's been negative 21. So if that gives you any indication there, DeWalt,
they don't seem to like when we're referencing or talking about these people, and that's just how it goes. But little by little, we keep stacking. El Jefe said, I heard Gary G is going to blame CFTC regarding FTX failure since should fall under derivatives. Gary's going down. And Gary is going down, Chip. You know, I mean, it's just like, it's so outlandish.
He's done.
Gary is done.
He's a political liability at this point.
Across the board.
Everywhere.
You know, and it's just too much. You know, I mean, the guy, you know, just really, he has to go. If he knew, you know, or if he, not if he knew, but if he was, you know, one of those guys that really cared about everything that's happening in the country, then he would just step down and say, you know what, I'm actually causing more damage than is good. But the question is whether, you know, he'll actually do that. You know, but check this one out here. Hang on one second. Let me pull this.
I got one ready to go.
Okay, but there you go.
That's the greatest campaign ever. Where is that driver? Is that right out in front of the SEC headquarters there?
I believe so. I believe that's where it's driving around. Let me see here. So it's posted here. Flying to. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but it would be nice to find out. Time for Gary Gensler to go. Yeah, look at that truck.
I knew it was in front of one of their offices, but it's one of those video trucks too, where that changes and it rolls around and he continues to screw over investors. That's about as succinct as you can put that. I mean, really,
it's perfect.
Kind of what's happening.
Gensler facts, you know, so that could be some, you know, individuals from crypto, that could be individuals from, you know, from Wall Street Bets. It could be anybody from the industry. I mean, it's across the board. Well, people hate them across the board.
There was somebody, she was behind it. I think she was out in LA and she was kind of behind, at least tweeting about it and stuff. But anyway, I think it was somebody from the XRP community.
Patrick from Utah. So
from Utah, man. Yeah, Utah. Two of my favorite YouTubers are from Utah. I would say that. That's why I watch that pretty religiously. But look at this, Jeff. This is interesting. We gotta unpack this whole BitBoy thing because this is something here.
You got a video here?
I don't have a video. Well, I do have a video as well, but let's go into this. So, you know, Ben Armstrong, better known as BitBoy. I'm glad he dropped the BitBoy thing, but still, you know, because at some point you're like, you're 50 years old and you just can't really kind of call yourself BitBoy. And remember those bands in the 90s? It was like Boys to Men. At least they were transitioning to that, you know, but it was like, you know, when you had some boy in your name or something like that, or kid, or it's like, just doesn't play when you're like 45 years old anymore. It just seems a little weird,
and
right?
BitBoy, Ben Armstrong. You know, he gets confusing with Brian Armstrong, Ben Armstrong.
Yeah, except and we've asked him to come on here, and it's like he says, I love the XRP community. Well, come on, man. Come on to one of the better shows, best shows out there. As far as, I mean, are there any XRP community interview shows where two people? No. So there you go. It's original.
That can analyze it. Yeah, we need to have, that would be great. You know, it'd be fun to have him on.
I'd love to have him on. We laugh our asses off.
That'd be great.
Let's be a lot of fun.
Him on there. So, but now he's going after Kevin O'Leary.
Well, I have to
he's not holding back.
Yeah, he's not holding back, but I will tell you, this is something, right? This is quite the new narrative. It's like there's always like a twist and a bend, and there's like a little. And then I saw, you know, we saw this today. We're like, so CoinDesk did an interview with Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, where he explained that Celcius network would go to zero. Let me let you guys in on a little secret. This is Ben Armstrong. That was orchestrated by Kevin O'Leary and FTX. Jeff, that's quite the accusation right there, is it not?
It gets even more. It gets a lot deeper.
You guys,
he's throwing out the accusation. This is the big secret,
right? You guys ready for the news that's going to rock the crypto world? Yeah, we're ready, but let's see what he's got here. So there's the interview right there, and I have a little bit of this, another commentary on that. But he says Celcius will go to zero.
All while at the same time, he's hyping up FTX.
Right.
It's run by, you know, a child.
So Ben Armstrong goes on to say that FTX crashed Celcius. Let's examine what FTX did with New Genesis, Newcoin, and Reef. In both cases, FTX/Liquid counterfeited their coins on the exchange's marketplace to control the supply and manipulate the price. This is factual and proven. This is not speculation. Okay. Do you have them so far, Jeff? Are you following this so far?
Yeah, I'm following that. But it'd be nice if he threw in at least somewhere, a little bit of proof somewhere.
See, this is what I have. Now, listen, there's so many amazing human beings on crypto Twitter, but when you take a screenshot and there's no attribution, there's no date, there's no link, there's no way for us to verify it. We just can read it and talk about it. He's like, this is fact. Now, when John Deaton does it, John Deaton has the receipts. John Deaton always brings receipts, okay? You're not worried about John Deaton when he says. Jeremy Hogan has receipts. Half the stuff is amazing that people find, but there's no receipts. It's like, well, where does it? How do I know?
So Mr. Wolf is saying they created synthetic sell token on FTX and shorted sell. It was a sell short squeeze. Mr. Wolf said he saw it happening. So that's kind of what Ben Armstrong's actually referencing also, is that there was a short squeeze that went on against the sell token, which then directly impacted Celcius. And I think there was probably other things that were going on around the same point of time, but still, this is that would be okay. Maybe FTX is doing it, but he's not just singling out FTX's wrongdoing. He's bringing in Kevin O'Leary into this conversation. And I would like to see, have him show at least some evidence, just because Kevin O'Leary referenced Celcius and is getting paid by FTX to shout them out or shill for them a little bit. It's still, does he know the inner workings? Did Kevin O'Leary really understand the inner workings of FTX? How much money did he give them and invest? Did he invest in FTX? Did he look at their balance sheets?
Well, this is a lot of questions that we can't really answer, but
Yeah,
what he's
I
also
don't know that.
But he's also the allegation here is that FTX/Liquid, the exchange, counterfeited the coins on the exchange so they can manipulate the control, the supply and the price. Okay, this I'm not aware of, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt here. Okay, then he goes on to say that so Kevin O'Leary, SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, and FTX colluded to push the price of Cell down, and they started the downfall of Celcius. They did this through a negative media campaign combined with inflating the supply of tokens to short it down to nothing, basically, then swoop in and buy the company. Wait a minute. Did they swoop in and buy the company?
There was talk at the time that they were going to.
Right, but they didn't swoop in and buy the company, so that's false.
And then in the end, they didn't. But I think there were probably some other things that were going on at the time with SBF and FTX. But yeah, but there was a lot of talk about it. He had referenced the possibility that he was coming in to buy Celcius.
But maybe about it is different than
doing. Right, exactly.
Right.
So here, and obviously there was a negative campaign. There was a lot of negativity coming out on Celcius.
Oh, for sure.
Right around that time. And still the question is, how much of it was true, not true? Was there, and so from what he's saying here, was the short squeeze the downfall of Celcius? Did SBF and FTX specifically plan to take them down? Because, we definitely saw that there was some controversy with CZ over at Binance and FTX. And we watched some of those videos yesterday, so did CZ actually purposely, undermine FTX, at the end of the day, because he said, I'm going to buy you out. And then the next day he's like, oh, no, we're not going to do that.
Well,
we saw too many troubling things within your, in our, and you can't say that CZ didn't know that there were troubling things the day before, what was revealed in 24 hours.
But it was a CoinDesk article early in November that was the leaked balance sheet. Okay, so this is where it started tipping off. So he's like, hey, I'm going to get out of my position with FTT. It doesn't make any sense. Get out of the token. And then I think legitimately he probably was looking at it. But from what's been said, what he said about it, and what we've heard from the CEO that stepped in with the reorganization, there's nothing to look at. There's no balance. There's really not a lot going on. I mean, it was carelessness everywhere. They didn't even have an HR department at a company. They didn't even. So anyway, he goes on to say that
James is saying, I heard Kevin O'Leary saying that he would invest again.
Yeah, you heard it right here.
Not
in
played that. He would invest in SBF and Sam. So that's kind of
he might. But he says he's a good guy, love him or hate him. But he said, and that was when Rand Neutered asked him the question. He said, yeah, I might. He put him on the spot, but he said, yeah. Ben Armstrong said, hey, hard to find the interview. Now comes in the link, and the CoinDesk article is broken. But don't worry. Don't you fret there, Ben, because we have it right here. And I probably don't know who this, again, because there's no attribution. I can't even get a shout out to the girl that did this video, which I'm going to play in a bit. What the hell is all that? Do you want to read that? It's a lot. There's a lot of reading there. My God, it's like a lot of reading.
There's a lot of conversation going back and forth. But Jim D was saying CZ knows exactly what he's doing. He sees himself as the godfather of the cryptoverse, potentially very lethal, and he really could be. I mean, there's a lot of centralized control with finance. Then again, you know, he's offshore, and then you've got Uphold, you've got Kraken, you've got Gemini, you have Coinbase. You know, and there's a lot of other exchanges.
It's true. I mean, but you get a little worried. But do you get a little worried when he says we haven't leveraged our token at all? I get a little bit concerned about that because that's kind of like, you know, we've heard the same story from Sam Bankman. And Sam Bankman's like, no, I mean, you know, we're totally transparent, but here's what everybody else did. Well, it turns out he was actually doing the same thing. I want to get to Ron John's question. This is a good question. So he says, hey, Chip, why isn't the money invested in FTX and startups still not good? If I give you $100 and I go away, the $100 is still good. Yes, correct. So let me clarify that. What I was speaking to, yeah, if they invested $300 million in a startup, that startup received $300 million. I guess if they cashed it, or so a lot of times they don't give it to you all at once anyway. It's in troughs. So there's certain milestones you got to set up and do. But let's just assume that the $300 million, for the sake of this argument, was given to a startup. That startup has the $300 million. What I was referring to, Ron, in this particular case was the fact that if FTX is no longer an entity, they no longer hold the paper. So at some point, whatever that term sheet was set up as, and they made that investment, whatever the valuation was, they valuated the company at, you know, $4 billion. And that raise was a certain percentage. And that's how much they would have held, right? FTX hold, let's say it was 8% or 10% of the company. At some point, that asset will be up for sale. And what I was saying, potentially somebody might be able to get it at a discount. So depending on the health of that company and what the original buy-in price was, they may be able to come in and spend $100 million and get the benefit of making that $300 million investment. So because it'll go some sort of because when those assets go up for auction or they get put up for bids, it's potential. And I was just speculating on that, but you're absolutely right. If that money was given out, again, sometimes it's not always given. So that could put them in a weird condition. So hopefully that makes sense.
That's also the money that,
Jeff?
Yeah, you know, and that's if we're talking about the physical, the liquid assets of FTX that was given, that he donated, the money that belonged to other people, that he, in the tens of millions of dollars, let's say he gave $40-50 million to political candidates. That money's traceable and trackable. The question is, if he did it, were they moving dollars? Were they moving Tether? You know, were they moving USDC? You know, how did they exactly move that money, and you know, how traceable is it? You know, there's a lot of interesting concerns overall, not just in, you know, other companies they invested in. But here's Epidoc says, how much ETH was dumped by the FTX hacker today? And do you all think that's what's dumping the market right now? I think the dumping in the market is just negative sentiment, right?
Yeah.
But there's some discussion that the hacker, so to speak, was actually the government in the Bahamas, the Bahamian government. So somehow they're, you know, taking asset. So I don't know if that's true, not true. You know, they
did take the assets apparently, but it's a mess. And then this one here from King Christopher said, did FTX have any utility? I think you're talking to the token, the FTT token. This is the kind of thing I remember when it came out. I remember Jeff and I looking at it. I'm like, what's the point of this token? It came out like it was just sitting around. They never even developed utility for it. So no, there was no utility to the token other than the fact to over leverage themselves, counting it as a potential, you know, like same as fiat, right? So how much you had and how much they had under control. Didn't have any utility, and that maybe somebody can prove me wrong. I didn't see any utility in it.
No, and the IB Preston. Don't forget CZ has.
Yeah, IB Preston.
Oh, he's ripped. Look at it. He says, don't forget CZ is China backing. Not a good thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, man, it's so deep. But anyway, let's play the video here. Let's go into the video. Let's watch a little bit of this. But again, there's no attribution because I don't have it. But here we go.
No O'Leary may have been working with FTX to bring Celcius to zero. This is a theory that is going around because of Kevin's heavy involvement with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. Kevin was caught saying that Celcius is going to zero in this video that I'm about to play for you. Now it appears Kevin is currently scrubbing all of his social accounts for anything that mentions Celcius.
It's important that this happens. It's bad for the individual investors, but in the context of making this market more educated, more institutional, more stable, with better price discovery and less leverage, you need these players to go to zero. So Celcius, thank you for your sacrifice. They'll go to zero.
There it is. Thank you for your sacrifice. You're going to zero. Thank you for your, but you know, this came after, I believe, I remember seeing this interview, but this interview, I believe, came after the fact, you know, when the Celcius was already in. But the difference again here, most people have to talk, like, I think we have to talk about is the fact that a restructuring, a true Chapter 11 and restructure, that looks like it's underway. Obviously, you know, Alex Mashinsky's no longer there, and some of the other people that were running it, but they're still doing the best they can to restructure it and make it work. And then they were looking at, remember, they were getting the court's permission to be able to open up those miners so they could generate more and more money of Bitcoin. That one is at least, now this one here, just full collapse. And meanwhile, he's like, hi, y'all.
Yeah.
Hi, y'all.
Hi,
Sorry,
y'all.
I effed up.
I'm getting, I effed up, but don't
He's
worry.
delusional.
I'm sleeping and playing video games.
Yeah, playing videos. There was one, Jeff, where he was on a call with a VC, and he was sitting there playing a video game throughout the whole call. I'm like, that's not a badge of courage. That's just pure stupidity, okay? It just goes to show you're dealing with a nut job.
Yeah, El Jefe said, here's the question. Why the hell is SBF still hanging out in the Bahamas and not in jail? Gotta loves who's in charge to head up the investigation. Maxine Waters. Anyone else would already be in prison. And that's a really huge concern, because yesterday we played a video clip of her blowing kisses to SBF. She's in the Financial Services Committee. The Token Taxonomy Act has been in front of them. If we were in a complete vacuum and SBF was the only person that had ever approached Congress and they didn't know any better because he's the only person they'd ever spoken to in technology and blockchain and in crypto, I could give him a pass. But the fact that the fact that he came out of nowhere over the past 3 years and they elevated him to this huge status. And when I reference they, it's government, it's Congress, it's the House, and it's the SEC, Chip. You know, the fact that they elevated him, and Maxine Waters, the head of the FSC, the Financial Services Committee.
Sorry, I had to get you a boo on that one.
Her responsibility to then bring the Token Taxonomy Act over how many years, Chip? How many times? It's been introduced 3 times now. Is it 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, we're going on 4 years now. It's getting silly.
So it's silly at this point, and she's the one who didn't. They had zero discussion once it got to the financial. So there's been great legislation to provide regulatory clarity. Again, if we're in a vacuum, all the things that are happening, and now Biden's talking about that we need aggressive regulation, and Gary Gensler's talking about regulation and enforcement. If all this stuff was in a vacuum, we could get it. But there's been so many things going on that have been pro and positive, and they've been ignoring it. And maybe they're not ignoring it. Maybe they're just actually on the side of, hey, let's again, you know, how can we destroy this, you know, or how can we slow it down? And it's probably more in tune with how do we slow it down, because the rest of the world is already moving at rapid pace, Chip.
Yeah, they really are. Well said. And this one here, XRP, the Standard Productions, chimed in with something pretty interesting. He said, you know what? I want to see BitboyCrypto on a new show called Crypto Shark Tank with Kevin O'Leary, CZ from Binance, and Elon Musk, where they decide whether or not to invest in crypto businesses. Admit it, you would tune in. It would be awesome. I absolutely would tune in. Are you kidding me? This would be one of the greatest things ever.
Yeah, this might have started out as a joke, but it could end as probably one of the best shows on TV. And maybe it wouldn't even go to TV. Maybe we could just have it straight onto you know, a streaming platform, or put it on YouTube. But maybe it would be on TV. It would be amazing.
I would volunteer to host that.
Dude, Crypto Shark Tank? Man, we should start it here.
Shark Tank. Kevin O'Leary, CZ.
We're going to start Crypto Shark Tank. We'll invite those guys on. Here's our idea, Kevin. We're going to take your idea and we're going to call it Crypto Shark Tank.
And we'll get Binky Banky Big Bankman Fried. We'll get him on here and be like, okay, just take a look at the hair. Yes or no? Just come on, tell us straight. Based on the hair, do you invest in Bankman Fried?
So hey, so JS said you got Chinese takeout. I got an FTX fortune cookie. It said, "I hodl, therefore I am." I added the word bankrupt at the end. That it's bad enough that FTX stole all of our money. They had to steal my fortune cookie, Fortune 2. Death penalty for all
bastards. That is some wicked stuff right there. That is bad. But then Anders, he also chimed in here. He said, but then again, it would probably quickly turn into Jerry Springer. So, but XRP, the standard says, well, just imagine the ratings. Wow, that's a good idea, says Miss XRP. So anyway, that would be something. There's probably somebody else you could throw in there too. I'm just trying to think who you need that fourth, right? You need somebody else. You need a fourth.
Yeah, we could get Alex Mashinsky.
Preferably
be amazing. You know, it'd also be great. You can get would have to be. I mean, there's a lot of people to get. You know, I mean, Brian Armstrong, Jesse Powell.
Jesse Powell would be great.
A lot of big Jesse Powell would be amazing.
Yeah,
a lot of big players that would do a phenomenal job if they sat in on a show like that.
And then he finally said, "Whoever lost the fewest billions wins." So that's how you win, right? So it's like, well, you only lost, I mean, 2 billion versus how many billions? I guess it just completely gets out of hand pretty quick, Jeff. It's a very big possibility. So there's two guys that I wanted to chat about. I'm trying to find his name. Man, oh man, come on. So much stuff. Okay, this is Brett Harrison. He was the president of FTX US, the US version of it. And so there's two videos we have here of him. I think DAI sent one of them out, maybe even both. I don't know. But let's look at this. So here's his first one right here. Here's him talking about all the hours they spent working with the CFTC.
We're looking forward to a lot of the regulatory clarity we're hoping for coming out of the SEC and Chairman Gensler and the CFTC and Chairman Benham.
And is FTX in conversations with the SEC or the Treasury Department about regulation going forward in the sector?
We're absolutely in conversation with the CFTC and the SEC, talking with the staff, in constant dialogue, both about
Jeff, constant dialogue, okay? I mean, that's not like a meeting. That's constant dialogue.
Our current exchange and also our future plans. We think that is the only way for long-term exchange like ours to really exist, is for us to work cooperatively with them and collaboratively with them to figure out the next steps.
Any insight into what those conversations are like, whether or not, your positions on how the industry should move forward?
The main insight I'll give is that I think that it's a misconception that either agency wants to stifle innovation. I think they recognize this is an important technology. It's here to stay. The asset class is a multi-trillion-dollar asset class. It's here to stay. They want it.
When you listen to this in retrospect, it sounds like he's making it all up, Jeff. Well, here's the insight I'll give. Dude, are you really talking to them? I mean, so the other thing is everyone's like running around crypto Twitter talking about these guys like they were having ongoing conversations with the CFTC and Chair Gensler and everybody else. Okay, maybe. I'm not saying they weren't, but the way this guy sounds like, it just sounds like he's making it all up to me. And this is from last year. This is at the SALT conference 2021, Jeff. But wait. That's right. There's more. Hang on a second. Cue that sound, okay? So that's not all. There's another one here of our pal Brett. Is that his name? Brett. Yeah, Brett Harrison. Then there's this one, Jeff. Look at this one.
Derivative side, the primary thing we're waiting for is approval from the CFTC. We handed them an 800-page application, which we spent 10,000 hours going through with the staff of the CFTC to get comfortable with our margin model, our risk parameters, our technological setup. And we anticipate hopefully getting approval sometime within a number of months, in which case we'll be able to offer those as well. The derivatives.
Come on, Jeff. Let's hear it.
About anymore.
So come on. All right. So can anybody believe that they submitted an 800-page? What do you call it?
Side. The primary thing we're waiting for is approval from the CFTC. We handed them an 800-page application.
An 800-page application. They don't even have a record of any of their trades. They don't have a record of who the employees are. They don't even have a record of how these real estate purchases were actually indeed, bought. They have none of this record, but we're supposed to believe they filed an 800-page, or maybe they paid some attorneys who were on the, the dole, and they were just getting paid in, I don't know, Tether, or who knows, FTT. But Jeff, really? I mean, 10,000 hours? I mean, 10,000 hours, when you say, like, how do you master something? You watch a YouTube video, it's like, you can only truly master something if you spend 10,000 hours. A guitar player who invests 10,000 hours will become and he's like, 10,000 hours. I'm like, are we supposed to believe they spend 10,000 hours, Jeff? Seriously.
10,000 hours playing video games.
I'm not buying it at all. I think it's ridiculous. What a nut job.
I forgot. Wait, I know we already gave K-Hud a quick shout out for the support, but we got to give him one of these.
Yeah, there you go. That's the new super chat. Super chat. So we love when we get super chats, because then we can play that sound. It's kind of like the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Tactical Apex.
Chip and Jeff's Excellent Adventure.
Yes. Simon and Kev.
Simon and Kev, baby.
Funny how you have a story like FTX, and on Fox News, the topic was all about gay marriage this morning. So you got financial markets crashing down everywhere, and they don't want to talk about it, even though Tucker has been talking about it.
So on that very video that Digital Asset Investors sent out, we had John Deaton kind of giving his 2 cents on it. I want to make sure I want to do attribution. I want to complain other people I don't have attribution. We don't give attribution. So this video right here, I believe both of them came from Digital Asset Investor. John Deaton said, look, we need a list of every meeting the SEC had with FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried. Enough is enough. Come on, Warren Davidson, Patrick Mahenry, Tom Emmer, Maxine Waters. If you care at all about working with people, you will join in demanding the release of all communications between FTX and the SEC. Is this the same Maxine Waters who was blowing kisses to Sam Bankman-Fried? Are we supposed to believe this is going to happen anytime in our lifetimes, Jeff? Just saying. I'm just asking, Jeff. This is what I'm saying. It seems a little bit on the fishy side.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that John Deaton is calling them out. The fact that it still gets me, though, the fact that Maxine Waters is going to be responsible somehow in this short period of time that she has to kind of head up some sort of an investigation. So she got a short period of time, though, Chip, because she's got December. That's it. 1 month, and then she's gone. Then she's out of the committee. So she won't be heading that committee any longer. Just a Biscuit was saying, Senator John Kennedy video was asking, would any of you trust SBF to manage a food truck?
Oh, we got to get that.
Binance retweets a video of their food truck.
Did they really?
We got to get, if anyone has a link to that, that'd be great. I did not see that.
I did not either. I'm looking for it.
Mark says, I've spent 10,000 hours researching crypto and I'm now broke.
That too. Yeah, that's it. But you're an expert, though. That's the good news. Look on the good side.
Bitcoin. The Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. So let me see if I can find that. I want to see if I can look for it. So what was that about the food truck?
Yep. Oh, here we go, Chip. Look at that. There you go, Chip.
I just heard what was that?
I don't know. Oh.
Come on, Jeff. Yeah. I like to do the air guitar on that every single time, too. That is awesome.
That's awesome. That's a really cool one. I like that. And then you can always get one of these in there, too.
Damn straight you can. Who has that link, man? Come on. If you tell us about something cool like that, just DM that to me right now. Go on Twitter and DM that to me. Come on, man. Stop playing games here. Send me a DM. I want that link. I want to play.
What else?
Because that was one of the greatest things ever when he said it. Who's your daddy? So, yeah, look at the weird timing of this, Jeff. Oh, look at this. U.S. President Joe Biden leads critical call for global Bitcoin and crypto regulation after FTX collapse. Yeah, it's like, sure, why not? Because your regulators missed it and didn't protect retail investors. But why don't you go crush the retail investors, doofus?
Man, I'm
Man,
telling you, the timing of it just doesn't stack up.
it
You know,
stinks
you
to high
say
heaven, Jeff.
you
Almost like
say
it was
there's
planned.
yeah, almost like it was planned. There's no such thing as a coincidence, and it's very coincidental, the timing of it.
They
Just,
also went on to say, Bitcoin Magazine said tomorrow, Bitcoin Magazine Pro, I think you have the subscription for that, publishing a deep dive expose on FTX, unpacking the layers of probable fraud and corruption leading up to the collapse. Probable, yeah, most likely probable. I guess they got to do that to protect themselves, but yeah, it looks like that's why I like John Deaton. John Deaton just calls them out and says it was fraud, it was a ripoff, it was bad. Let me throw this up here. And this next one, what do we got here? What do we got? What do we have?
Jim D is saying the whole FTX thing is too well timed around midterm elections. It was the whole thing was, seemed very contrived. It just the timing's very bizarre. The crash, bizarre. But I think they were planning on it going on a little bit longer than this potentially. I think maybe it was all based on the outcome of who won or lost, this round, because if you hold control, then there's no investigation. You lose control, and there's a good chance they find out a bunch of stuff. So, Oz Crypto messaged us on Twitter.
Thank you. Hang on a second. I'm pulling it up right now. Hang on a second. Hang on.
And here it is. Here we got something here from Hans Loaded also.
All right, but you can't put it in there because I can't grab it there.
Oh yeah, we can't grab it over here. That's right.
It's
got to go.
I got it. Here we go. I'll share with me. Okay, I did see that one, but I didn't think that was it. Here we go. Pulling it up now. I don't see that. For some reason, the pictures didn't come up for some reason.
Well,
yeah, I saw that, but I don't see Kennedy's tweet to it. This is it right here. I have that. See?
All right. What is that?
It's supposed to be the food truck. There it is. But it said, but where's John Kennedy's tweet?
Open it up.
There's nothing to open up. That's it. Just three little pictures there.
That's
what I'm saying. I saw that on their feed, but I couldn't find the actual. Couldn't actually find it.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Okay, thank you. Good job, Oz. You guys go follow Oz Crypto there. It's the Crypto Oz, but here it is right here. Let me go ahead and share this so we can listen to the audio. Let's go ahead and share the screen, turn on the audio. And
53 seconds start into Crypto Caddy.
Here we go. This is going to be good. Here we go. Let's make sure the volume is up. We are good. We're go. So here's John Kennedy. This is the same guy they called when he asked Gary Gensler, "Are you your daddy? Why do you act like it?" So here we go. Here he is.
Would any single one of you hire Sam Brinkman-Fried to manage a food truck?
Did you see that look? Did you see the look he gave?
Would any single one of you hire his girlfriend, Caroline Ellison, who apparently was trading billions of dollars, to manage a food truck? Can you tell me who in our would any?
This is gold. Thank you for that, Alice. This is absolute.
Look at this look though from is that Mr. Haggerty as he's looking over at him.
Yeah, well, the best one is when you look at these guys. Let's see if we can follow this right here. Look at this. Look at that.
Yeah.
This guy right here, hands crossed, big smile on his face, smile. This one's a little perturbed. You asked the question. This guy's actually thinking about it. I don't know. Maybe I would hire him for my food truck. Maybe that's what he's qualified to do.
Exactly. Yeah. For a food truck. Yeah. That might be a great idea.
Because you know how that works, Jeff.
It's a vegan food truck.
You walk up to the food truck.
Eggs.
And you say, "I'd like 2 burgers. I'd like 2 burgers and a Coke." And they go, "Well, hi, what would you like today?" I'm like, I would like 2 burgers and a Coke. They go, "Would you like anything to drink?" And then you have to tell them over and over again. Maybe that's something Sam Bankman-Fried is like actually qualified to do. I don't know. I'm thinking it might be might be his special. Thank you for that, Oz. That was pretty awesome.
David Moss saying good line of questioning, and we wonder why our politicians are idiots. But I think that's a really solid line of questioning, because his point was, in that regard, how ridiculous it is that you wouldn't even trust him to run a food truck. I think is the point with that. But that was crazy.
That's comedy
Crazy.
gold. So we got another one from John Deaton here.
He has all sorts of great things like that. I mean, he's hilarious. If you didn't have, man, if he wasn't there watching those types of hearings, it would be brutal. Could you imagine? It'd be so dry and you got to have some comedy, and he brings the comedy.
He's the only one that brings the comedy. He brings it all the time. It's fantastic. John Deaton said, it's entirely possible that Sam Bankman-Fried used customer funds to make political donations, something you were talking about a little bit before, Jeff, hoping to bribe politicians to support regulation he wanted passed. Even if remotely possible, the judge should order all donations returned. Well, the right thing to do anyway is return the donations.
100%, and put them into put it into a trust account, put it someplace where it's being managed to get returned to to people. I mean, that 100%, that would be the right thing to do. Every single one of those politicians that got money, return it instantly.
David Schwartz said, I believe these payments can be clawed back by the bankruptcy court so long as they were either made within 90 days of the bankruptcy filing, or if they were made within a year of the bankruptcy filing and while FTX was insolvent. John Deaton said, I believe you're correct. This will be interesting to see what date will be established, concluding FTX was effectively insolvent. And of course, XRP, the Standard Productions, said, yes, but that donation money is gone now, just like the FTX money. Just boom, poof, gone. Kiki LaRue said, recipients of donations from Sam Bankman-Fried shouldn't have to be ordered to return those donations. They should have the integrity and moral fortitude to act on their own to return the money. Jeff, this is the best ever. And this is why I love it. It's parody, right? It's like, they should have the moral fortitude. They should have the integrity. But damn well they don't, because they're politicians and all that is void.
Exactly.
They don't have any of that.
No, I mean, it's absurd. It's a good friend of mine does a lot of research into terrorist supporting entities that somehow get involved with politicians here in the U.S. And so he'll go and he calls out individual politicians when they affiliate themselves with these terrorist entities or terrorist supporting entities. And so there was one actually in West Palm Beach that involved the school board there. And there was an Islamist organization that had direct ties to terrorist groups. And he called them out on it. And this group gave the school board members awards. And he called them out, and he said, and they refused. Only one of them said they were going to give the award back. But all the others didn't want to give the award back. And it's the same thing. I mean, even if something as small as an award, the politician should return it because it's the right thing to do. Say, I'm not going to take an award from a group that directly supports terrorism. And so in this situation, it's the same thing. Here's the politician. You got money. You return the money. It's the right thing to do. Make sure that you're supporting your constituents, and the constituents are the people. So, it's time they do the right thing. They need to step it up.
Yeah, constituents. You remember one of the things that Elon Musk said about Twitter? He was talking about it. He said, one of the greatest things about Twitter is the fact that I want to really enable citizen journalism. And I think he totally nailed it here, because Elon Musk put this tweet out: coverage of FTX meltdown incomparably better and better quality, faster and better quality than on Twitter than old school media. Meanwhile, old school media was writing puff pieces and, Sam Bankman-Fried, and he worked to give his money away. Well, turns out it wasn't his money. So he's just giving away investor money. But this is
and through all of his altruism, he was actually
he
was putting a huge amount of money in his pockets. So, you can say whatever you want. It's kind of like his veganism with all of his eggs in his refrigerator.
By the way, Oz, listen, so Oz does a video the other day, man. He goes off on this thing. He's like, he's the two most important YouTubers, period. He goes, that I watch all their stuff and everything. And I was like, dude, where's On the Chain? I don't see On the Chain anywhere in there, man. I was we didn't even make the cut, Jeff. We didn't make the cut. It was Crypto Eddie. Well, yeah, which, yes, totally agree with. Love her. And Jungo, yes, agree. But we didn't even get like an honorable mention, Jeff. We were like, well, I watch these guys like one every of their 10th videos. Like I don't watch every video, but I might catch one once a month, you know, and they're okay. Because the basic crux of that was that they give out factual information. I'm like, well, come on, dude. What the hell, man? I was like, man, we can't even count on Oz, man. He goes, he said that. No, dude. It was like his shot on the next. I was like all excited because I watched his videos and I'm like, yes, he's gonna. Oh, whoa, hang on a second. Whoa, he's not gonna talk about it. Well, listen, of course we're just messing with you, Oz. I mean, we love you, man, and you totally nailed it. I mean, those are the two people that I always watch too. So it's like, you know, I don't have a lot of time. Especially when you're making content and working.
Was the first I watched. Was Jungle?
Yeah, Jungle, Crypto Eddie. I mean, they're fact. Jungle says stuff that I would like to say, but I don't say, which is why a lot of reasons I like him. So that's one of the things that. Well, don't we have a Jungle tweet in here somewhere? I thought we did. Hang on a second.
Jungle did stop making it. I was making videos again, which is cool.
Here we go.
Yep. Jungle launched Oz's channel. Really helped him.
Well, I got to tell you, Oz launched our channel. I mean, Oz. Jungle launched our channel. We were nothing. We were nobody. Nobody even knew what we were doing. We announced on the chain on Jungle's channel. So he launched us. So obviously a lot of respect. Remember the man that dug the well. Jungle's great.
Whoever voted for Maxine Waters needs to take a long look in the mirror. You know, that's a good point.
So is this the same video? Let me see. Is this the same video we already saw? Okay, here we go. So this is since we're talking about Jungle, let's put this up.
It's in at the hour.
Gosh, Sean, why don't you come at 11:59? I mean, like, man, what the hell? So let's do this. Got this. Play this last one. We'll get out of here. Let's see. Share my screen. Do this. Do that. There it is. So this is Jungle's video right here. He was replying up here to Ben Armstrong about the video. So here we go. Let's put it full screen. Let's listen in. This is Kevin O'Leary.
10 people that knew Sam, 9 of them are going to say what a wonderful guy he was. And I'm one of those. I just think he's a very interesting individual. Over time, we'll peel this onion, find out what happened. I don't think that guy has an evil bone in his body. 10 people that knew Sam.
So 10 people that knew him, and he's one of them. 9 of them would have said he's a good guy. Well, let's see how those people fare. Super chat. Thank you, K-Head. Appreciate that. And K-Head says, we are a community. Yes, indeed, we are, man. And Oz, you know, I was just ribbing you a little bit, man. Love you. And listen, man, you put whatever you want in your videos. It doesn't matter. Don't worry.
Larry said it right.
So we lost 21 subs over the last 30 days, so that's good.
Subbage.
So anyway, that's all we got, Jeff. That's all we have here. So we're gonna get out of here. Yeah. Get ready to take us out of here, Jeff. Are you ready to take us out of here?
I'm ready to hit the road. I'm ready to kick this thing off. We'll be back here Wednesday, possibly not. It's Thanksgiving, so stay tuned for that one. Otherwise, we'll be back Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Man, you guys are the best, the smartest, and the brightest in all of the YouTube crypto space. Appreciate all you guys. We'll check you guys out on
the next one. Chip and Jeff. Ow! See you guys. Have a good one.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.